Alrighty, and we are live. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Noeline. I am a supply chain professional and the safe space curator. This evening, I'm joined by Grace Kariuki, our in house therapist. She is from the Harbour Counseling. If you want to speak to her, you can Google her, and when you find her, you'll be able to book for yourself an online session and one on one session, whether it's a single hour or it's double hour sessions. Thank you so much, Grace, for making the time. It's evening here, but I know it's morning where you are. Thank you so much for making. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, it was given here a note that we are recording.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sawa, sawa. Alrighty, so we'll just
Yeah.
jump right into it in the interest of time. Well, this week we were supposed to be talking about conflict management. But because of what has
Right.
been going on in our country over the last few weeks, we thought that maybe we need to use that a little bit and speak about healing together. How do we handle trauma? How do we handle grief? How do we handle even shock during this season, considering all that we are seeing online on X, on our Instagram, on all the other social media platforms, including the news outlets? And that is why we have Grace with us. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, Grace.
All right. Thank you, Noeline. And good evening, everyone, and good morning, wherever you are. It is really a pleasure to be here again and for us to talk about what is happening within our lives and what we are experiencing. Now, we would need to start off by identifying that we are in a space where there isn't much predictability. So a lot of us are feeling anxiety, and anxiety being the feeling that things are off and we can't predict from hour to hour, sometimes even from day to day, what is going to happen. And naturally, we go into survival mode. And what is survival mode is where we are either in fight or flight, where we are feeling we don't have much control about what is going on. And therefore, we do not feel settled, we don't have peace, we don't have contentment. And so it will show up in various ways. And it is important for us to be able to acknowledge that. One of the ways to manage whatever is happening within your what do we call it, your environment, is acknowledging, being able to acknowledge what is the reality you are in right now. The opposite of acknowledgement is denial. And when we are in denial, even though denial is a natural way that our system protects us from experiencing emotional breakdown, it doesn't work in the long term, especially when we need to do something about the reality that we are in. So, the first step is to really allow yourself to acknowledge how you are experiencing this current situation. So, there are those of us who are experiencing anxiety, and anxiety, that fear of the unknown, the fear that you have lost control, the fear that you do not know what tomorrow will bring. And that is going to trigger physical sensations like now, overthinking, which when you are overthinking, you have headaches. So you might have a lot, feelings of having a headache. Sometimes sensations like you feel overwhelmed. There is an overload of adrenaline into your mind, so that now you are not able to focus properly, you are not able to concentrate properly, and then you also might find that your body reacts by feeling tired and feeling some sort of fatigue. The body will also react by feeling a desire for sugar. So we might find ourselves emotionally eating because of what we are experiencing. So the body is reacting to what is happening around us. And then there is also now mentally, we also struggle with sleep. So you will find that you are unable to sleep. And then you will also struggle with just finding peace. You feel very restless. You might find yourself being frustrated easily. So you are unable to withhold or withstand any upsetting trigger. If you are triggered, you are constantly being triggered by what is happening around you. So you find yourself feeling and experiencing maybe yelling at your kids or being short with people. And then you might also be experiencing a need to hide. So wanting to be alone, wanting to withdraw and isolate from people. All these are symptoms that we are all experiencing during this time. And then we also have the other, because of the anxiety, the fear of the unknown, the lack of predictability, the lack of information about what is going to happen. We will find ourselves behaving in certain ways. And I have mentioned some behaviors like isolation, withdrawing, but also being glued to social media, being glued to the TV, wanting to know. When there is anxiety is the loss of information. That is why we usually feel a fear of unknown, because we don't have information that reassures us that we are safe. So, in other words, what has happened, our safety, because of the environment we are in, our safety has been shaken. And so now, without information, we are feeling like we are blind. We don't know where we are going. So some people are talking about feeling confused, that I'm feeling that I don't know. I'm confused about some things, and there will be confusion now about what is the truth about what is going on. Is this just political narratives? Is this the truth? Did we not read the signs right? So there will be quite a bit of confusion, doubt, and looking for information and trying to look for reassurance, trying to look for the truth, trying to look for something that is going to reassure us that things are going to be okay. So you will find those kinds of experiences where now you are glued to the TV, to the social media, and you are following everything that you see. And what is going to happen is that people will become fatigued. So we begin to develop some fatigue for information, because we are just ingesting a lot of that, and the fire that was there, the hope that was there for things to change, may begin to turn into hopelessness and helplessness. And when we get into those spaces, we are going now to lose a feeling of grip, and we feel like we are really losing it, and we don't know what we are experiencing. So I'm thinking, Noeline, that I would like to encourage people to speak to us, and through the chats, to just tell us and write, what is it that you are experiencing right now? What are the emotions that you are experiencing? What are the questions that are keeping you awake at night? What are the questions that are causing you not to feel energy to do what you need to do? What is that? Just share with us, so that in the course of the sessions, I can be able to answer some of these questions, as so that we can meet people's needs as they are experiencing them right now. As we said, it's a debrief. How do we process what's going on right now? So now I also want to, so I have spoken about your mentor, where you are constantly thinking about what's going to happen, why is this happening, what are the solutions, do we even have any solutions? So there are a lot of questions that you have. It would be very helpful for you to share. Anybody who would like to chat and tell us what are the questions that you have. And maybe I'll take a short breather, Noeline, and ask you, what are you thinking? What are the thoughts that are plaguing your mind? And then myself, I can also share my own, since we are trying to debrief.
Or okay. So I'm watching the news, I'm seeing everything that's happening, and I'm just thinking, okay, it's a bit much,
Mm-hmm.
like the action reaction.
Yes, yes.
It seems a bit excessive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to understand where both sides of the divide are coming from.
Mm,
I'm struggling to reconcile it.
mm-hmm.
And are sometimes it just feels like there's a mental block, like it's too much. It's too much. Like it's too
Yes,
much.
yes. Right, right, and many of us, for myself, I also have found myself wanting to know. So that is what I'm wanting to know. But then when I go into the spaces where people are talking about it, and then I look at what is happening as we are watching the news and we are watching other other news which are not necessarily our mainstream news, then you get to hear other things. You are seeing a lot of pictures that are really disturbing. Yesterday there were the coffins in the city, So again, it triggers even now spiritual reactions. So what does this mean spiritually? What is going on within the spiritual realm? So some of us, we will either struggle with understanding what is God doing. Are we being punished? So we are hearing a lot of rhetoric about, that we need to repent. People need to go into prayer. And yet we don't have the energy to pray, and some of us, we don't even have the faith to pray because we are not even sure what is this? Is this spiritual? Is it just political? Is this social? What is this? Is even God interested in what is going on within our country? And then so we will find, many of us will find what now I was calling confusion, because we are not very sure what is this about. Now, the other thing that is happening is the re-traumatizing of a lot of people, because we have been here before, where there was post. I mean, we went through post violence, post election violence, long time ago. When I was in the 90s, we used to have the Molo clashes. You remember that, the tribal clashes? That us, we come from Nakuru, so it was usually. I mean, my sister used to go to school in Molo, so it used to be quite an uncertain space that we are in, and many other things that we've gone through, with is it last year or the year before, when we used to have the mandamanos every
Maandamano every
Thursday,
Wednesday.
or whatever day of the week it was. So it is not something new that we are experiencing. It's and it can re-trigger trauma from the past. So it is important individually that
Mhm,
we take some time to ask, whatever it is that I am feeling, is it also triggering some past experience that I've had before. Now, whenever you are in a space, and maybe I should say what trauma is. Trauma is any experience that you have that causes you to question whether you are going to survive, whether you are going to come out alive.
mhm,
You see, so it can
mhm,
be even a loss of a job that can create that feeling of so much helplessness that you wonder whether you will be able to survive. It can be death. It can also be anything that, again, anything that puts your physical and your emotional safety at risk, where you feel you do not have the resources to protect yourself. That is what a traumatic experience is. And so now what happens, as you go through that, you go through a process of grief, where you are
Mm.
grieving the loss of the safety you knew. You see, now a
Mhm.
lot of people today are grieving the loss of business because they can't go and open their businesses because of the loss of safety. A lot of us are grieving the loss of the freedom to just get into your car and drive to wherever you want to go. So there are a lot of issues that we are grieving, but also there is the issue of grieving the fact that every time you turn on the TV, you can't watch anything. You are just seeing breaking news. Now, the truth that has come out about our government and our nation, and the intensity and the depth of the problems we are in as a nation, that in itself takes away the illusion we had that we are okay. You see? So
Mhm.
all of us have been thrown into spaces where we are realizing we've got to wake up to the reality of the fact that we are not okay. And then there is the emotion of anger. A lot of us are angry. We are so angry with, and you need to identify for yourself. That's why I was talking about when you feel whatever you are feeling, identify the emotion. So if it is anger, you do need to identify, who am I angry at? And be able to allow yourself to identify each person, each institution, each whatever it is that you are angry at, because you need to process that information. Because if it stays in your mind, it just grows, and then it impacts the way that you're going to live the rest of your life. So I want to encourage us to be able, even as we are talking, use the chat to be able to identify what are the emotions you are feeling. Call them what they are. So there is we've talked about confusion, we've talked about anger, we've talked about sometimes what will be triggered is resentment and bitterness. Now, the difference between anger, resentment, and bitterness is that it is a progression. So it starts with loss, where you feel a loss of something. Now, this loss can be the loss of trust, the loss of safety, the loss of the loss of feeling connected, the loss of feeling a sense of belonging. It can be a loss of a lot of things. There is betrayal and disappointment as well that we feel. And then the secondary emotions from this particular foundational emotions is usually anger. And so anger becomes one of the things that now we are expressing as what we are feeling. We express anger, frustration, being upset. We might even express rage. Now, resentment grows out of unresolved anger. So when we have unresolved anger, we have unresolved frustration, things keep happening and they are not changing. Those patterns and cycles of those emotions I talked about, the loss, the grief, the disappointment, the betrayal, the hurt, the rejection, abandonment, which is the sense of belonging, has been tampered with. Over time, that anger is going to become resentment. And then the resentment is going to grow into bitterness. And when we get into bitterness, we begin now to experience now the mental health issues like anxiety and depression. Anxiety being fear of the unknown, loss of control, not having information, feeling lost in what might happen, and then depression is helplessness. I feel helpless. There is nothing I can do, and it grows into hopelessness. So we do need to understand that some of us, we are actually triggered right now to feel the bitterness that we've had, maybe towards the government, towards other people. I know right now there are people I have seen in social media spaces where people are blaming each other, those who voted for the government versus those who did not. And some of us, like myself, I am also telling myself I knew that this was not going to be good. And so we are all experiencing all kinds of things that are being triggered because of the situation where we are in. Now, the panic is where, again, panic and worry, because I can see that somebody has said they feel panicky and they are worried, is, again, it's a part of the anxiety. What is going to happen? Now, the truth of the matter is we really do not know. We don't really know what's going to happen. There is a lot of information online right now, on social media, about what people think should happen, what the next steps are going to be. Now, the fear that we all have is the fear of there being anarchy within our nation, and really this prolonging for too long, before we find our space of okayness, going back to feeling less anxious and experiencing some sort of calm. So even being able to identify what these emotions for you mean can help you a lot. Now, when we talk about trauma, we have said that trauma is any experience that you have that puts your safety, emotional safety, physical safety, social safety, financial safety in jeopardy. That is what is going to become a trauma, because it causes you to feel completely helpless. And so now, when we are, so what we the trauma is what is the outcome of the grief process, which is now the loss that we are experiencing. So it is very important for us to be aware of that. Now, the things that we do need to, maybe the question we need to answer. So how do you manage this space where you are in? So number one, you want to, like I said, huh?
Sorry for cutting you short. There's a
Sure.
bit of feedback that we've received. I just want to put it up so you can respond to it. One
Yeah.
of our viewers is asking a guide on how parents can remain calm during these difficult moments. I'll
Mm-hmm.
use myself as an example. Yesterday, we were asked to keep the children home.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you now have to have the conversation of why are we at home and we have exams? When are you old people, quote in quotes, old people, because I have under 10s in my house going
Yes.
to school. As in, I can understand where this parent is coming from, because how do you start unpacking? You're dealing with it as an adult. How do you also, and not specifically just to the current situation in the country, but how do you, as the parent, as the adult, guide your child through grief and trauma?
Yeah. So that is a very good question that we also addressed in a recent debrief that we had. The children are understanding and they can see what is going on. One of the things is, how do you remain calm? Now, you need to take care of yourself as a parent. So first of all, instead of allowing yourself to go into those deep emotional spaces, you can do things like, now connecting with supportive groups where people are either they are handling the situation in a progressive way. They are not sitting in the negativity, but they are handling it in a positive way. So, for instance, people who are praying, who are doing proactive things to protect their emotional wellness, their spiritual wellness, and even their physical wellness. So, as a parent, you want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. So you can do those things that I'm talking about, connect in places where people are proactively seeking solutions rather than the places where people are just complaining and they are experiencing a lot of anger and bitterness. Detach yourself from negative spaces, reduce the amount of watching of the negative experiences, allow yourself to take a break from social media, from the news watching, so that you can calm yourself. And then talking with your children is one of the ways for you to explore your own feelings by exploring theirs. So when they are asking questions like why do we, you need to ask your children. Don't tell them, just get to know what they are thinking. So tell them the reason why you can't go to school is because of what is happening in the country, and then ask them, what do you think? What are you thinking about what is happening in the country? Allow your children to explore with you how they are feeling. You can't fix this for them, but you can offer them a space to explore how they are feeling and to process what they are feeling. Don't assume you know. Allow the children. The other day I was watching, I don't know how many of you have seen that small girl who has been talking about, I think I saw it the first time on, I think it was Wednesday last week or Thursday, where a young girl, I think she's probably 6 or 5, and she's talking about how she feels about what's going on. And her mother, I saw it on one of the TikTok videos. So allowing, and I say to myself, this mother is doing well to allow the child to express how she feels and what she thinks about what's going on. So one of the things I want to really encourage parents: take care of yourself, do a lot of deep breathing, go for walks, listen to uplifting music, shift from focusing on the bad and get into those social spaces where people are doing the positive things, and then have time with your kids. If they are home, go for walks with them. The other day somebody told me, oh, last actually when you talk to me like this, I am remembering that there was an hour last week when the kids were home, and I took them. We went around the estate. They were riding their bikes, and we were, we just had a moment of fun with the kids. So allow yourself to also get up, get out, and take the children with you. Go and do something outdoors, so that you can reduce when you stay in the house and you are just circulating the same oxygen in the house, your brain is also not getting freshness. So there is a reason why going outside is going to really renew your mind, renew your energy, but also trees. I am sitting in front of a window, and there are very nice ball gum trees out here, and I can see the wind. Going and sitting outside and reading a book or playing with the kids, especially playing with the children, is going to really rejuvenate you. So have conversations, not long conversations. Just let them tell you what they are thinking, so that you can be able to direct and help them process. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Let me project the next question that was asked. I'll read it for you. I feel afraid given I'm in a foreign country. I'm not home. So it feels like I have nowhere to run. At the same time, seeing people being brave makes me question my feelings. So maybe just unpack for us, what is this person going through and how does she manage it? Because I want to imagine that she's speaking for a whole demographic that is just quiet in the background and silent following.
Yeah. So she says, I have nowhere to run. At the same time, seeing people being brave makes me question my feelings. I'm not very sure I understand that last part, but basically what she's feeling or he's feeling is helplessness. This is happening at home, so there is nothing I can do. I cannot go home. And so there is the feeling of helplessness that goes now. The hopelessness is where I have nowhere to run, is It's like there is no hope. So one of the things that that can really help with this particular situation, I want us to realize that at this time our spiritual activities, they play a big role in making us feel okay. We've got to find solace in a higher power because we are powerless, and that is what we are feeling. Usually we feel we are in control because we are in control. The point at which we do not have any control, if we continue to stay in that space, we will go out of control completely. So I want to encourage us to realize that we have spiritual resources. Now, I'm not talking about praying that God ends this. No, I'm talking about being able to see that we have a higher level of power that can protect us. And that is one of the things we know about our country, Kenya, is that regardless of what we have been through in the course of our nation, we have always relied on spirituality. I know right now the church is on, a lot of people don't want anything to do with church and church leaders. We have a lot of loss there. We have a lot of bitterness towards them there. But I want us to separate God from church leaders, from human beings, and allow ourselves to know when you feel helpless and hopeless and powerless, you've got to connect to a power higher than yourself. And that in itself makes you feel a bit of hope. And every time you look around the world, every time a nation goes to turmoil, there is a lot of turning towards a higher power that happens. And why? Is because as human beings, we need to feel safe. And when we cannot provide that safety for ourselves, naturally, we are going to reach out to a power that is higher than us. And so I want to encourage us. This is not spiritualizing, this is reality. We are a mind, a body, and a soul. And when the mind and the body cannot carry us, then the soul is going to carry us, because your soul is where hope and faith and resilience, that's where they are, in that space of spirituality. So I want to encourage anyone who is in the foreign country, you feel that there is nothing you can do because you are so far away, you are worried about your loved ones, you are worried about our nation, to really connect. Try and find, even as you are connecting with other spaces where they are talking about the chaos and the problems, connect with the spaces where they are talking about hope and about our spirituality carrying us through this. And don't worry about whether this God that our president prays to, because there has been a lot of controversy about confusion. Let me call it confusion. But we need to understand that our God is above all of this, and He is not human, and He's not like the individuals who have really betrayed us. So that can be very, very helpful.
Okay, thank you for unpacking that, Grace. I think what I'd just like to mention, even as we proceed with this session, is in as much as we show up as parents, we show up as different professionals in different fields. The truth is, fundamentally, we are human. And we are all experiencing this. It's part of the human experience if you're a Kenyan right now. And this session is meant to help us work ourselves out, figure ourselves out as we
Yeah.
go. So you can comment on chat, as Grace had said, or you can send a DM if you want to ask anonymously. So Grace, a few of the questions I'll ask are, you'll see me looking up and down. It's because I have messages coming through on WhatsApp and on LinkedIn chat. So on this one, somebody has asked, wondering what the end game looks like for both sides, Gen Z and the
Yeah.
government. So this is the
Right.
same question again. What is this person dealing with? Let's unpack it. What is this? What are they dealing with? And how do they work?
Yes, yes. Again, this is again that anxiety of what is going to happen, because there is no clear way of what will happen. Now, when you are in that space of helplessness, that before it gets to hopelessness, because once it gets to hopelessness, then you feel completely stuck and you feel a lot of, well, you go into depression, and depression is you turn inward and no, you isolate, you're not going to be productive at all. So what you want to do is to live a day at a time. One of the ways to deal with the unknown, because that's what this individual is really struggling with, is wondering what will be the end result. And because she cannot predict, he cannot predict, then what we want to do is to live a day at a time. You wake up and you have a plan for your day, what you can control versus what you can't control. So we have gone back. What has happened, Noeline, tumerudishwa to survival mode. So now we are really concerned about just survival. Are we going to be safe? Are we going to have shelter, clothing, and livelihood? What is going to happen? So at this point, when we get to that place, what we want to do is to shift into living a day at a time, so that we can allow, and living a day at a time is really waking up every morning and have a routine of how you take care of yourself and your family, what you can control. So for us to survive this day, we need to pray, we need to talk with each other, we need to like come together, we need to continue to create hope, we need to eat, and we need to sleep, and we need to take a shower. That is what I'm talking about, living a day at a time, because you cannot predict what's going to happen tomorrow. So and then the other thing that we want to do is gratitude. Now I want us to realize that when you look at Tomboya Street, I was looking on some of the videos that I saw on Tomboya Street. All those businesses are closed. So there are people who are in a worse situation than you. So you want to also learn every day that you are waking up, you are living in gratitude, because there are people who are actually, if you have a job, if you have been told to work from home, if you can still go to work, the things that you are able to do, the things that you can be thankful for, please develop a way of using gratitude as a way to ride through this time. So that when you do gratitude, what happens is that you walk away from being self-absorbed, and you begin to pray for others, and you begin to worry, or to reach out to others. So and that is important, because again, like you said, we are going through this together, so we can also be able to reach out now to others if we are not too overwhelmed with what is happening with us.
Oh, okay. As you're speaking about this, Grace, I was seated in a PTA meeting last week, and one of the comments that one of the representatives was saying was the reality of power distance between the different generations, the Gen X, Millennials, Gen Z, Alpha, Baby Boomers. And I'm just wondering, even in a professional setting, what what is the degree to which power distance affects our interrelationships? Because part of what we are seeing is even in the workplace, where before you'd be told to keep your head down, do your job, don't ask questions so you don't lose your job, there's a whole other generation that will ask you, why are you telling me to do that? Give me reason, don't just tell me to do it. Maybe you could speak a bit on that.
Yeah, and that now calls for the skills of empathy and compassion, because then we need to be able to hold space for people from where they are. So also the what we call curiosity on how people think. So if somebody is thinking very differently from me, I can also allow myself to be curious and interested in where they are coming from, so that now it is what I said, don't question me, just do what I say, can be removed by really wanting to understand where somebody is coming from. So empathy and compassion becomes very important. And you see, if we think about do unto others as you would have them do unto you, I think that can put people in a space where they can now practice that humility of let me hear you. You know, you are questioning. I'm feeling anxious that you are questioning me, but I put aside my anxiety to get to understand where you are coming from. Now, one of the things that within these different generations, the Gen Xers, which is that's where I am myself, uh, we were raised to be very compliant. We didn't question a lot, you see. And then you have the generation before then, which is probably the boomers.
Yes, baby boom.
So again, yeah, you followed what needs to be done. In order for you to be safe, you needed to make sure everybody else is safe, you see. So but now when you are talking about the millennials and the Gen Xers, for them is it is very individualistic, you see. It's about me and what works for me, and then secondary it will be about you, you see. And so that is why now you see that all of us are feeling some sort of connection with the Gen Zs because of the fact that they have this freedom to express how they feel without feeling afraid. You see. So
Okay.
the, so compassion and empathy. Empathy meaning I am willing to see things from your perspective, and compassion meaning I'm willing to see things from your perspective and make life better for you and for both of us. You see?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Another comment that has come through is you've spoken for us on how lost we all are in all this. Personally, I like to feel like I took out the personally because there's a character limit, but I'll just read it out. Personally, I like to feel like I'm in control of everything. So this is so disturbing and unsettling. How does this and any other trauma affect relationships?
Yeah. Now, when we feel loss of control, we go into ego. Your ego is your self, the selfish self. So the disturbing and unsettling, it just means that what makes sense to you has been taken away. Life has actually taken a curve that you were not expecting, and then you have realized you cannot take you are not in control. You are not in control, and so the I usually call it an illusion. The illusion that I am in control has been disturbed. So now, allowing yourself to transition into the reality of what you have, it causes you to really struggle. And so, what will happen? Number one, how does it affect relationships? You are going to be very sensitive. So anything small is going to trigger this disturbing and unsettling feeling you have. And so you are constantly on survival mode, on self-preservation. So you are unable to hold space for others because your world is upside down. You see, and this is more
Yeah.
of now your own personality trait. So the weakness of your personality traits is showing up. So most of the times when you have cholerics and you have melancholics, they are the ones who struggle a lot with loss of control because of perfectionism. And you see, for them, perfectionism means that things are working the way it makes sense to me. Now, when you look at the sanguines and the phlegmatics, they are more they are more compromising, they are more accommodating. And so they are able to flow with the flow. But cholerics and melancholics, they will struggle with going with the flow because they are very black and white thinkers, and they are also They feel in control when things go the way in the box that they know. So
mm,
life happens in the gray, and they're allowing yourself to be shifted. That's what that is what COVID did to us. We didn't have a
mm,
choice. I mean, we really didn't have a choice, and we had to go with the flow. We all had to go with the flow. So what I would like to encourage anyone who is in this space is to be able to understand that it's okay for you to create a new control within the reality. So stop fighting for what you can't control because it's gone.
yeah.
Now, figure out what is my new reality. So if you are in a relationship and so let's say you are married and you find yourself, you cannot have a conversation with your loved one without getting so angry, and you are finding yourself, you are snappy, you are moody, you are isolating. Shift. Accept that you have lost control, but then separate. You have lost control over the country, what is happening, but you haven't lost control in your home. You have
Mm-hmm.
not lost control with your children. So separate, detach from doing the brush, the white and black and white, and go into the gray and say there is the loss of control within the nation because I don't know what's going to happen to the nation. But here in my home, I have
Mm.
control about how my children are going to experience me today, how my husband or my wife is going to experience me today. So I can find ways to self-regulate so that my relationships are going to experience me, not my anger, not my emotions, not those things I can't control. I hope that makes sense.
It does. It does. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm.
Just posting another comment that has been made. One way of dealing with the unknown is living a day at a time. Love that.
Yes,
So this is
yes.
acknowledgement of what you'd said. Just giving it back to you, Grace. Please go on.
Yes. So let me talk a little bit for the time that we have left. We don't have much time. Let me
Mm,
also identify. Uh, I really at this point, let me encourage people that at this point in our nation, I'm not a preacher, but we need to let the soul be ignited because we need hope, we need faith, we need resilience, and we need to be able to live a day at a time. So the trust of a higher power and the trust that things are going to work out will only come out of our soul, not necessarily from our mind or our physical body, because our mind and our physical body are experiencing overwhelm. Our soul is where we connect with something higher than ourselves. And that is what is going to carry us through. That's how people survive the hardest parts of human experience. They survive that through connecting with a higher power. So I want to encourage people to renew their spirituality during this time. That's what is going to carry you through. That is what is going to help you. And one of the ways to ignite your spirituality is to be able to remember how you have been helped throughout your life. Things that you have gone through and you made it and you didn't even know. Even today, when people ask you, how did you come through that? You always say, it's only by the grace of God. So let
Silly
us,
God.
yes, let us ignite that. If you are having disappointments with God because of the church, please separate church. Church is made up of human beings who are flawed, but God is separate, and he has chosen to allow the world to be the way it is because and now I would have to do a whole spiritual counseling for that for people to be able to understand that.
Mm,
Please, you need to understand that the church leaders owe you nothing because they are only acting out of their human experience just like you, but you are responsible for your own resilience, spiritual growth, and
Yeah.
spiritual uh, maturity. Allow yourself to take control of that and let it guide you through a time of uncertainty like we are in.
Mm. Mm. So there's another question that has been asked, Grace, and before
Yes.
I put it up,
Yeah.
as you're speaking, I'm just thinking of maturity levels on the spiritual journey.
Yes.
And there is a person who will call themselves to a meeting and say, look, this is how this person has behaved. It's not representative of the character of God. But there's this person who is seated and is
Mm,
feeling disillusioned by the church because they felt you're an authority. You told us ABCD, you should be speaking into this situation. And there's another person
mm,
seated somewhere who is feeling disillusioned with the state because you gave us a whole manifesto, there was expectation. And there's another person who is feeling this job is not what I thought it would be. Like, yeah, it was all rosy and whatnot outside, grass is green on the other side. But now it's like, no, this ship is sunk. And
mm.
I'm just wondering, from your point of view, because I feel like that's also part of a trauma response, getting
Yes.
in a place
Yes.
of disillusion.
Mm.
How do
Yeah.
we deal with disillusionment?
Right. Now, again, we have to be realistic. And it's very important. It's very uncomfortable for us to hear this, but it is the truth and it is what is going to save us. That
Mm,
men are men and God is God. And we do need to understand for us to overcome the disillusionment, we've got to separate things.
mm,
Now, the acceptance, like you have said, the acceptance of there was an illusion we had, and now it is not there. That's why we call it a disillusionment. And
mm,
now it is not the reality, it is not the rose flower we thought it was. Kumbe, it has thorns. The
mhm,
acceptance, the faster that we accept the reality, the easier it is for us to be able to shift and to be able to transition into that
mhm,
unpleasant reality. Actually, what happens once we accept what is the inevitable, once we say it is what it is, then we start to build on that. You see, we start to build on that reality. But if we don't, then we keep knocking at the door that has already been locked,
very short.
which is it's a wall. So it is good to be able to understand it's okay. I mean, it's human to feel disillusionment because we had something we had believed in. There was a reality that was sold to us, but now we are disappointed. We feel betrayed. It's okay to feel that. Now, the struggle that we normally have in order for us to move on, quote unquote, is the justice. So where is the justice? We always feel that if I let go of my feelings of disappointment, disillusionment, and if I let them go, then I have said it's okay. You see?
Mm,
And that is something that is more of a mental construct. It is not the truth. The fact that I say it is what it is, and I need now to get into self care first,
mhm,
then it doesn't mean that I have said it's okay, that there is no justice. No, it just means that I have recognized that something is not right, but I don't have power to change it. And so I am shifting into continuing to thrive in my life within the new space of control that I have, while I mourn and grieve over what I have lost. So I don't have to, it doesn't have to be black or white. I can do
mhm,
both. It's just like what I normally say, Noeline, that if you're
mm,
predicting the worst case scenario, it's a prediction. Also predict the best case scenario. You
mm.
see, because they are
Yeah.
both prediction. You see,
Mm,
so
yeah.
we do need to learn
Mhm,
how to separate things and
mm,
learn how to live in the gray. That both are comfortable realities can dwell together, and we can continue to thrive within that. You see, it's
they're
when
not
we
mutually
continue
exclusive.
to fight When
Mm-hmm.
we continue to fight against reality, then that's when we have now the issues that eat on our mental wellness. So allow yourself, remember again, this is very important for people to understand. You are a mind, a body, and a soul. And all of them, they are going to help you manage what you are feeling. So when your body cannot, because you are shaking, have no energy, you are not able to do things, you can't think right, when your mind is constantly bullying you about how bad things are going to happen, allow your soul to show up and remind you there is hope, there is faith. We've been here before, we survived. You see? So I'm
Mm.
feeling the feelings I'm feeling right now are the same feelings I felt before. And this is another battle that is similar to what we have fought before. It's just a different time, a different way. But we made it before. And even now we are
Yeah.
gonna make it. So
Survive.
how did we make it before? When we look at that, those are our resilience, those are our strengths, and we bring that into the current space, and we remind ourselves that, hey, I am going to be okay, we are going to be, so that in our relationships where we can control, now I am not, because I'm angry at Ruto. Now I'm angry with my husband and with my kids. No, we don't have to sambaza that. We can separate. We need to be able to do that, and it is possible. And I said gratitude as you live a day at a time. So when you look at your babies in the house, and even though they are doing something that is triggering your current anger, you look at them and you say, I thank God for my babies. Oh, I love these babies, and go hug on them. You see, so that you can also shift from survival mode into actually experiencing the moment. You see, not just the
Mm.
negative moment, but also the empowering moment of the people who matter to you. Because even Ruto is doing the same thing. Si amejifungia kwake na watoto wake na bibi yake.
Oh my goodness, Grace. Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Um, yes, I
And now
do. I
I
do.
know, I know it sounds very simplistic, you see, but
Mm. But it's
I want
actually
to,
say it as it is.
I'm painting a picture that let's not get so overwhelmed, and it's because of
Mm-hmm.
the individual who asked the question about how does trauma impact relationships.
Relationships.
Yeah,
Mm.
so allow yourself. You have lost control over the situation at work, in your business, and also in the country. You have not lost control on how you are as a spouse, as a friend, and also as a mother or a parent. So, in the spaces where you have control, be the best you, take care of yourself. And in fact, those relationships, they are going to ignite a feeling of goodness within you, endorphins. Go play games, play card games, recreate family time, because you are spending a lot of time together. So why
Mm-hmm.
don't you make it something that is powerful? Allow your 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds come to the kitchen and bake with you.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're a dad, there are things that need to be fixed around the house. Let the boys help you fix those things. You see,
Mm.
go for walks and workouts, and if you can go swimming with the kids, go. Because there are places where you can do that. So if they don't have school and you're not going to work, create recreational moments for your family, and so that it doesn't impact your relationships. So what am I saying? Again,
Mm.
I repeat, separate.
Separate.
Learn to separate. It is not, your life is not about one thing, it's about many things. And when
Mm.
one thing is not working, try to focus on the things that are working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Grace. I'll just
Mm-hmm.
share one more thing that has been posted.
Uh-huh.
I am at a point in my life, so this has come
Uh-huh.
through healing. I am at a
Uh-huh.
point in my life where I just want the chips to fall where they may. I
Uh-huh.
want to sit and watch as things unfold. I
Uh-huh.
am used to being the one planning things and following up, but not anymore. Part
Yes.
two, I feel exhausted and I don't want to initiate plans or activities, especially with friends and my partner. What could be causing this?
Now I'm thinking now I'm putting my hat on as a therapist, and I'm wondering whether the writer is a melancholic phlegmatic.
We need to have a session about personalities.
So I hear you, my friend, and it is what is causing this is that you are tired. You've been doing a lot of things. Maybe you were parentified as a child. You started taking care of people a long time ago. Noelines, you know how we are told you have to be a good example to your
You're the
siblings.
older one.
And when things are given, chores are given at home and the others didn't do, you are told, where were you when the kids
Mm,
didn't do what I asked them to do? So it is. And then also individuals who feel exhausted because of the fact that they've been taking care of everyone, usually they are the individuals who don't like chaos.
mm,
So they also have a control issue because they have to make sure everybody is happy so that they can be happy. You see. So for instance, if you are, I see here they have said my partner. For
mm.
instance, if you are married or you are in a long-term relationship and you are constantly afraid that the relationship will end if you don't do something. So you never give your partner the opportunity to show you that actually, if you don't take charge, the relationship will end. You see, so it's also when she asks, and I'm thinking it's a she, the way it looks, but
I
also we
will
have
not
men
answer
who do that.
that.
So what could be causing this is it's the fact that you have gotten to a place where you are willing and you are also courageous enough to let go of control, and so you are feeling a loss. You are feeling a
Mhm,
loss of that because that's what you are used to. Now you have entered into another space, and probably your mind, somewhere down deep in your mind, you're feeling guilty because you feel relief, but at the same time, you feel guilty. So the
mm,
question that I would like to ask the person to ask themselves is this: these plans and activities that you usually put together, do you even enjoy them? Do you actually enjoy them, or you enjoy the planning? You see? So allow
mhm,
yourself to really have a moment of introspection of the question why, the why of those things that you do, and now
mhm.
you are no longer wanting to do. So I would encourage this individual, if you would like to do a personalized session, it can help you so much because, Noeline,
Mhm.
ladies, by the time we get to 38, from 38 all the way to 42, we actually have a developmental crisis there where
Mhm.
we want something different. So we actually stop doing the caregiving. And men go through from 40 to 45 all the way until maybe around 65. They also go through a midlife crisis. And so
At what
maybe
age? Wait, I missed that. At what age do they go through this crisis?
men
Uh-huh.
between 40 and 65.
And women?
Women, it starts around 38 into
Okay.
40, into their 40s, and
Mm,
sometimes usually with women you will see they will not. Men tend to do self-destructing behaviors, and women tend
mm,
to choose behaviors that enhance them. So they go back to school, they start going to the gym, they cut off friends who are not helping them. So they are very, women become more seeking personal value. Men tend to look for value outside of themselves. So they will
mhm,
start doing things that are not necessarily going to help them. Like now, getting into relationships with younger people, starting to drink more than usual, spending a lot of time outside,
mm.
those kinds of things, or even starting side hustles that keep them away from their marriage and their family. And so it creates now problems at home. You see? because what has happened, the man has realized, oh my goodness, I am late to create the legacy that I am looking for. So their energy shifts
Mhm.
to now also seeking value, but seeking value that is outside of themselves.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is very, very profound, Grace. Very, very profound. We've gotten a bit of feedback, positive feedback. So
Yes.
one of our viewers says, "This is quite an informative, inspiring session. I would love to link up with you ladies. This is superb, quite practical and balanced. I will put your link for booking sessions, Grace, in the LinkedIn chat. So the person who posted this, and to anyone else who's wondering how can I connect with Grace for a one-on-one, you
Mm,
should be able to follow the link and you'll be able to speak with Grace.
mm.
I know we are well
Yes.
over time,
Yeah.
and true to form, as in this, when we are almost done with the call, is when the questions and the comments start rolling in.
Eh.
You'll forgive me, Grace, please, if I
I
take a
have
few
I have
minutes.
5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. Let me post this. It's just come through. So someone is asking, how do you handle the low energy levels and the motivation at work because work has to be done? So there's this reality happening, and
Yes.
work is also happening, and all those
Yes.
other identities. So how do you deal with this?
Now, so the low level energy, we need to look at physically what's going on. So, are you eating properly? Because if you're not getting nutrients and you are eating emotionally, where you are eating more carbs than proteins and vegetables and fruits, then your
Mhm.
body will have the yo-yo, the sugar
Ah,
highs and lows, and
mhm,
and so you want to look at your energy levels. Is it because of your diet? Number two, sleep hygiene, very important. So also check to see. Now, this is what we do, Noeline. At the end of the
mhm,
day, because of being tired, we pick our phone and we
mhm.
go home and mindlessly go on TikTok, on
Doom
social
scrolling.
media, and we
It's
just
called doom
scroll. And
scrolling.
yes, so we want to reduce that as much as we can. And then number three, you also want to look at your mental state. What are you thinking about? And see if you are thinking about a lot of negative thoughts, because then that means you are triggering a lot of adrenaline. And adrenaline is, after some time, it becomes, it becomes, it really is not the energy that you need. Adrenaline is energy for when we are in danger. But you see, perceived danger is not the same as real danger. So at some point, because there is no real danger, what will happen is that your body goes into some sort of inertia because of
Mhm,
this, all this high, and now you have gone, because there is no danger. Umegojea danger and haikuji, so your body
mhm,
goes back to normalizing,
mhm,
staying in that space. So what you want to do also is to do some mental work, and you can journal. You can make yourself have 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes of journaling every day. It doesn't matter
mhm,
what time of the day, just whenever you have time. What am I thinking? What am I worried about? What am I fearing? And also, what is it that I feel I haven't accomplished that I wish I could have accomplished? Now, if you are at work, you are at a job where you feel demotivated, the other thing you want to look at, are you feeling stuck in that job? You see,
mhm,
so you begin to also question whether the job is bringing any kind of vitality to you. And if it has become routine and you're not excited about the job, then it's time for you to begin to say, what am I going to do about it? You see. And then lastly is stress management. Maybe you have too much on your plate and it's causing you to feel so overwhelmed by all the things that you have to do that you feel your brain is fried.
mhm,
So you wake up and you are feeling overwhelmed. You
mhm,
go through the day feeling overwhelmed. You come home in the evening, you are feeling overwhelmed. So you want to also watch your stress levels. Now, if you do not have ability to do that, and your spirituality, people hear me, when your body and your mind fail you, your spirituality can really trigger a lot of energy, because it triggers hope, it triggers faith, it triggers resilience and stuff like that. So what you would want to do, if you are unable to do that, then seek therapy. There is a program I do, 4 sessions of mind decluttering, so
Mm.
that you can declutter your mind about things that have happened in the past that you haven't closed. You have a lot of unfinished business. So allow yourself also, if you can't get yourself out of it, allow yourself to consider going to therapy, 4 to 8 sessions, 4 to 8 sessions of personal, what we might, myself, I call it personal clarity and
Mm.
insight. No, personal awareness, clarity, and insight. It's what people call personal development. And what
Mhm.
we do is, what I do, I take you through a journey of decluttering your memory, that
Oh,
part of
that's
your brain that
beautiful.
has been clogged by a lot of experiences you've had through life, that you just went autopilot. You were not, so your closet in your mind is usually full, and we need to go in and declutter, you see,
Mm.
and remove the
Mhm.
things that you have hoarded and hoarded and hoarded, so that now at this point in your life you can be able now to figure out how to live now, because the past, you have finished some business back there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Grace. Thank you so much for engaging us, answering all of the questions that have been asked, and giving us 11, 12 extra minutes of your time. I know more questions will come. So, what I'll do is I will put again the link to Grace's website in chat on LinkedIn and in the WhatsApp group, and you can reach out to her directly. Just let her know you connected via Safe Space on LinkedIn so she knows where the conversation is starting from. That said, thank you very much, Grace. We have come to the end of today's session. Thank you to everyone who joined us live, and thank you to everyone who is catching the recording afterwards. Have a good evening, everyone. See you next week.
Bye bye.